you, everyone in the audience, for being here tonight. I will call this meeting of Montgomery County School Board to order at 7 o'clock on April 17, 2018. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, our student board representative, it's Mariah from Eastmont, will read our mission, vision, and core value statements. You think you can do them all?
Yeah.
It looks like Stephen is late or can't make it. Go for it.
We would like to welcome all of our guests to our school board meeting tonight. Here in Montgomery County Schools, our mission is that every student will graduate career and college ready and become a productive, responsible citizen. Our vision is to inspire learning by providing a nurturing environment, positive relationships, high expectations, and continuous growth. Here in Montgomery County Schools, our values for everyone include physical safety and emotional well-being, mutual trust and respect, open communication, accountability, engagement in lifelong learning, and cultural diversity. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for covering for both Stephen too. Our next item will be adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion to adopt our agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda. Next item will be Dr. Meyer's announcements.
All right, yes, thank you. A busy couple of weeks in the school division. Had the jump rope for heart at Beeks Elementary School last week. A lot of fun there. They raised a lot of money for the cause. Able to go out and watch some of the Christiansburg-Blacksburg soccer game, girls last week, and we're having spring sports, but it doesn't feel too much like spring. I promise you that. I was asked to participate in the Blacksburg High School pep rally and participate in the volleyball game, and that didn't go so well. We lost as the faculty team, but that's okay. We had a lot of fun with that. I'm continuing my school leadership meetings with all of the leadership teams at all of our schools, and I've been to about 5 schools so far, and so far they're going real well. The topics of discussion this spring are school safety, the budget, professional development is a topic that our teachers want to talk about. We're letting them know how we've addressed the substitute shortage this year. A lot of them were not aware of our reduced time from having a bachelor's degree to 6 college credit hours to be able to be a sub, and they were excited about that, and how we're doing sub orientations now every month as opposed to 3 times a year to try to help with that issue. We're talking about next year's calendar. The teachers seem to be really pleased with the calendar for next year. Starting a week later, consistency with early releases being the last day of the month is something that they liked. The fall break, a couple extra days during spring break as well. And the clarity of the calendar seems to be really popular. Something else too that I've talked about, especially at elementary schools, is the extended recess, and the teachers are really excited about the possibility of extended recess and understand how important that extended recess is for the elementary students during the day, and actually have recess in the morning and in the afternoon. And so, but no, they're going really, really well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Our next item will be our public hearing on fiscal year 18-19 operating budget. Public comment during this time should be limited to the proposed budget. We will have a separate time for public address. There are no individuals signed up to speak regarding our proposed operating budget. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to come forward and address the board? Seeing and hearing none, our public address for the public hearing for the operating budget is now closed. Next item is our public address. At this time and at each of our regularly scheduled meetings, School board sets aside 30 minutes for citizens to address the board about issues pertaining public education in the Montgomery County. And each speaker is allowed to speak 3 minutes, and the screens throughout the room and on the laptop will indicate when the speaker has 30 seconds remaining and the 3 minutes has passed. As a reminder, the board does not respond during the public address, and our policy does not allow for complaints regarding students and employees of Montgomery County Public Schools. If a speaker violates this policy, they will be ruled out of order. Board members, we have one speaker who signed up who does not reside in the Montgomery County. Policy 1-6.8 states that we will make a determination at the board meeting about whether the speaker may be addressed the board. Speaker is Melissa Yanko. She's a parent and wishes to address the board regarding Auburn Band program, and she addressed the board before. Do you wish to allow Ms. Yanko to speak?
Yes, she's a parent.
Yes.
We're all good. Ms. Yanko is signed up as a first speaker, so please come forward and state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Melissa Yanko, 7485 Booker Branch Road. Board members, every decision that you make as a governing body has consequences, but your decision not to hire Janet Longerbeam has some wide-reaching impacts on the Auburn community. The first consequence is the exacerbation of the already present mental health crisis within the Auburn band community. I realize that we have spoken ad nauseum of the many tragedies that these students have endured this year. But please, think about what your mental health would be like if your boss left work suddenly due to a health crisis, your brother was killed in a car wreck, and your uncle suddenly passed away, all within 6 months. Where would your mental health be? Your hiring decision and Dr. Meyer's visits to AHS and AMS on April 4th have both added fuel to the fire of what is already a tenuous mental health situation. The second consequence is that there are students not being awarded the honors that they have earned. At the end of the last school year, 15 students earned their varsity letter for marching band. Due to Bob Priest's health, these were not awarded. This year we face a similar issue, and 10 additional students will not receive their varsity letters. In addition, when Mr. Priest left MCPS, his H drive was removed or wiped clean, making the list of awards not given no longer accessible to him or anyone else. If this same protocol is followed after Ms. L leaves, 2 years worth of data will be lost, and several, 25 in fact, very deserving students will not be honored, adding insult to injury. Thirdly, as I'm sure you are aware, many students intend to drop out of the band program. School board members, I have no idea if you will see the data for final enrollment in band next year, but by my estimates, students that I have spoken to, 15% of the currently enrolled students are seriously questioning removing band and marching band from their schedule next year. The last consequence is near and dear to my heart. It is the dissolution of the band booster program at Auburn. Of the 10 heavily active parents in the band booster program, 8 have stated their intention of no longer supporting the program. Your decision has literally destroyed a growing program and a source of pride for the Auburn community. I close with a quote from Robert Kennedy. Each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others, he strikes out against injustice. He sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. And crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples can build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Mr. Chris Bradling. Please come forward and state your name and address, sir.
Good evening. Chris Spradling, 12 Victory Heights, Christiansburg, Virginia. Here we are again. Good evening. Thank you for time to speak. I'm here continuing our quest for justice and fairness. I again will not go over the details of the audaciousness in regards to the hiring process for the Auburn Band Director, except to clear up a few points. One, I sat on the interview committee. There was not a confidentiality agreement presented to me, nor did I sign anything, but put my name on a piece of paper at the end with my first choice of Janet Longerbeam. To note, from my vantage point, I was able to observe her name at the top of the list for a majority in the room. After speaking with an official at Heritage High School in Lynchburg in regards to Mr. Hand and his time there, it was stated to me that the band numbers reduced greatly under his tutelage, and that it was best that they, quote, part company. Not only due to this, but his inflexibility to work with others and calling numerous extraneous after-school practices. Being a musician myself, I have spoken with numerous associates in regards to the band size numbers there, and as many of them serve in the capacities of field judges for competitions, all stated that by his last year at Heritage, he fielded a group size of Auburn. I'd like to go quickly to the meeting the superintendent had with students at the Auburn Strand. This was an exercise in mental cruelty for many students and caused numerous ones to become physically ill and have to leave school. You as board members took an oath, and by allowing this action to go unpunished is atrocious. In fact, those who sent letters were treated to a form email saying the board agreed with this maneuver. You have many educators in this system who have communicated with us here, asking that we continue this fight because they fear for their employment. Is this what you want to continue? We have not been dissuaded by the attempt to divide and conquer our cause. The community and the teachers deserve better, and your continued support of this culture of silence only worsens the longer you allow it to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Ms. Carola Haas. Please come forward, state your name, address.
Thank you. I'm Carola Haas, 4462 Sydney Church Road, Reiner, Virginia. So I wanted to thank you all for continuing to communicate with us, continuing to listen to us. We appreciated the effort that Mr. Meyer made when he came to talk to the students, but we really were disturbed by the result of that. Many of the students were clearly traumatized. We would really like to have a public forum so that parents could hear the things that the students heard and that our students would have that support. So we would really ask that there be a public forum with the Auburn Band Booster community at a time when parents could attend. We'd also really like the board to consider how to prevent this sort of debacle in the future, and the move to exclude parents from hiring committees. Again, as you've heard, it was a process that wasn't implemented. It wasn't that the process was wrong. Okay, I am a public employee too. We have external members on our committee. I have consulted with our HR. It is not a legal issue. If, everybody should follow the proper process, and if the proper process wasn't followed, that doesn't mean that you need to change the process. That means you need to enforce the process. So finding a way to better engage the community, especially for teachers like band directors that students may engage with for six years, that decision has a huge impact on the community. So I hope you'll think about a way to earlier engage families in these decisions. And I hope that you'll realize that as a board, you still have the option to correct this egregious mistake. I know that you've made a hire, but he can be put in another position. Those things happen. So you have the option of finding another position and retaining the band director at Auburn who should be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Charissa Skinner. Please come forward and state your name and address.
I'm Cherise Skinner. I live at 2230 Huffield Road in Pilot, Virginia. I have two children in the band program at Auburn, a high schooler and a middle schooler. And I've been frustrated by this entire process regarding the hiring of the band director. I can include my voice in expressing that Janet Longerbeam has done an excellent job with guiding my children in learning to create music. She has not only taught them well, she's guided them through trauma, and she has certainly earned their respect. When you have a class like band, where you don't just learn, you create, it makes a more personal bond. I think most everyone who's been in band would agree that it's like a family. And these children have unfortunately seen the leader of their family, the one who has supported them through trauma after trauma, go through trauma of her own now, in their view, be disrespected in this process. They've also seen numerous examples during this process of questionable decision-making. Unfortunately, through this experience, many of them have lost a sense of respect for the system and for the educational leaders who represent that system. And quite frankly, as a parent, I must agree. I can give you an example. It's been very difficult for me as a parent to help my child express his frustration and anger while keeping a healthy sense, an appropriate sense of respect for their leaders. I hear educators express frustration at parents not being involved in their children's education and not teaching respect for authority. So when a leader pulls my child out of educational time, first thing in the morning, to address what was known to be a volatile and emotional topic, this act usurps my very ability as a parent to help guide my child's understanding and, more important, his response to this leader's. When you do this without my knowledge, without my participation, unfortunately, it makes me question the motivations. If you expect my children to be respectful and understanding of this situation, it needs to be handled in a psychologically sound and an emotionally informed way. And it needs to show respect by being handled in a fair way, where instead of shutting out those of us who are most invested in the program, the leaders need to listen to what the community wants. And what this community wants is not accolades. It wants the one who has the experience, the real experience of helping these children create something beautiful in the face of trauma after trauma. We want Janet Longerbeam. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Deanne Bishop. Please come forward and state your name and address.
Deanne Bishop, 3333 Tyler Road, Christiansburg, Virginia. Most of what I wanted to say and how I feel has been covered by the last two meetings, but what has brought me to speak here today I will address in a minute. But for right now, I have a question. Do you know who my children are? Do you know what they like, what they dislike, what they need, what they want, what their dreams are, their ambitions, what their fear, what stresses them out, and what their insecurities are? Can you answer yes to any of these questions? No, you cannot, because you do not know anything about my children or any of these kids. They are just another child in your school system. Then how can you say that this is what is best for them? You can't. I here, just like every other parent, are the only ones that truly knows what is best for our children. And the decision you have made is not in the best interest of our children. If it was, then we would not be here meeting after meeting addressing you. To disrupt the current stability that they all have mentioned before and take away the rock and shoulder that they have leaned on and be placed in unnecessary stress. On griefspeaks.com, a website, it states that peer relationships are often seen more important to teens than family relationships, and the death of a friend may significantly affect young people in ways parents, teachers, and other adults may not understand. It also states the number one thing teens need after death of a teen friend is to find a safe and trusted adult to share with. No other teacher or staff member except Miss L has stood up and showed this to these children and actually look out for what was in the best interest of them. And I know what this is like. I, too, had a classmate unexpectedly die when I was in 7th grade, and it was rough. And no teacher and no staff member in my school stepped up to support us like Miss L has for these kids. To me, it truly shows what kind of person she is. But you think uprooting someone who has made such a huge impact on these kids is what is best for them. You are wrong. My last point I'd like to speak is the fact the board member goes to the school and speaks to our kids without our knowledge. We get emails, letters, calls for just about everything from the school, but did not feel that we needed a call about this. You tell the information that they've been told is not true, to trust them, this is what is best, and to let it go. You do not know who we have spoken to. That was very unprofessional. And was you trying to bully, intimidate these kids? Because that is how I perceived it, and that was not okay. These kids are not fragile or immature. These kids are very bright, and they know what's going on. the kids have requested a small meeting to meet and speak, and they were told that they were advised not to. But it's okay to ambush
Your
these
time
kids.
is up, Ms. Bishop.
Thank you.
At this time, these are the only individuals signed up to speak. Anybody else from the audience would like to come and address the board at this time? Please come, state your name and address.
My name is Christopher Obiso. I live at 4071 Childress Road, Christiansburg, Virginia. I have spoken at the last two previous board meetings, and this time I did not expect to speak, but I believe that the voice of the students should be heard, and I believe I am representing a few of them who are here today. I'd like to ask you, I know you can't respond, but I'd like to ask you, what does mental health mean to you? To me, it means the balance of one's mind, whether they are upset, stressed out, or happy and are feeling like a genuine human being. I personally have history of mental health issues. I have been diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and personally, I have been so completely stressed out by this situation of, I believe, 2 weeks ago when Dr. Meyer came to speak with us, that I personally, immediately after, threw up and could not handle the rest of the day. Sorry, Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, is there anybody else in the audience like to address? Please state your name and address, please.
Michael Obiso, 4071 Childress Road, Christiansburg, Virginia, 24073. I also didn't plan on speaking tonight, but I'm really proud of all these kids for showing up. I'm an alumni from Auburn High School. I'm also a music education major at Radford University. I received this letter in the mail the other day, along with several other students and parents, and I wanted to do some math really quick. So at the high school, there is currently 46 students involved in the marching band, including all the winds, percussion, brass, color guard, and I would add about 14 more to come up with the whole concert band. For each of the 3 grades, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, I would average about 25 to 35 kids. So adding all that up is over 150 kids. I'm not good at math, but around 150 kids. So knowing that my tax dollars went to pay for 150 students worth of paper and ink and postage stamps is really discouraging to me, and it's really, yeah. I find it shameful that rather than teaching our children, you find it that you want to spend our dollars on discouraging them from achieving their goals and dreams. These kids are the future. Bob Priest, the former band director, once said that one of these kids one day is going to become the governor of Virginia, and I believe it. These kids are the future. Bob Dylan once said, "Get out of the new world if you can't lend a hand, for the times they are in a changing." Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to address at this time? Hearing and seeing none, our public address is closed. Next item will be our consent items, board members. If there's nothing to be pulled from the agenda, we'll consider the items approved. Any questions, or just 2 field trips and our past minutes? If no questions, we approve our consent agenda as is. Next item will be our paying our bills, financial reports. May I have a motion to pay our bills?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions regarding to our bills? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We pay our bills. Next item will be the motion to acknowledge receipt of our financial summary reports. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion regarding the reports? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We acknowledge our report. Next item is our business part of the meeting, and Dr. Meyer, budget update.
All right, sure. As you know, last night, the Board of Supervisors passed their budget, which meant $1.5 million in additional recurring money for the schools. In addition to that, they are hoping to actually give us $642,000 of their carryover, which would not come until the summertime. And so what I've done is this. We have put together two scenarios for you, which are option A and option B. Basically, option A is what we've been talking about since the budget started. And that includes the 1.5% raise for employees, getting teachers to the correct step, no increase for health insurance premiums, the Wi-Fi hotspots for the underprivileged students, capital repairs and replacement, technology replacement, and Chromebook initiative. A couple of things that would be we would have to cover in carryover would be 2 buses and some technology infrastructure. Now, what I've done now is, because of the additional enrollment that we've come to know over the past several weeks, which was we're looking at an additional 50 students for next year, is about $238,000 in additional money from the state. And that's just what we know now, because as you know, the state has not passed their budget quite yet. We're hoping that it happens soon, but we do not know what it's going to be. But we do know that that money will be coming to us for the additional 50 students in the ADM. And so with the option B, what this does is this: it adds 3 teachers. What comes off of the recurring list is part of the technology replacement. The Chromebook initiative are the 2 things that come off, and that's it, by adding those 3 teachers. I would encourage you all to consider option B. We are in a tough situation, especially at Blacksburg Middle School. What's happening is we have 350 students in grade 7, 350 in grade 6, and about 350 in grade 5. In grade 8, we have 280, and they're moving to the high school. So therefore, we have about 70 more students in Blacksburg Middle next year in 8th grade. And so that's causing some issues for us in terms of scheduling, because we received course requests and we're trying to schedule, as we speak. Mr. Pauly and I looked at the scheduling the other day, and we had like 190 requests for Spanish 1 in 8th grade, and we have 1 teacher, and that's not going to work, unfortunately. And so we are in need of those 3 teachers, and right now, if we had to allocate those 3 teachers, it would be 2 teachers to Blacksburg Middle, 1 to Christiansburg Middle, okay, for core. What we're hoping, if any additional money comes from the state when they finalize their budget, would also be to add more teachers to those schools, because we need even more, all right? Something else that's happening is with the, give you an update on our savings and how that looks this year. In terms of buses, of course, we try to get to 8 buses a year. Hopefully 2 buses the county can help us with their carryover. We've looked at our budget and what we have in terms of end-of-year money through fuel savings, and we're able to now move forward and buy 4 buses. So we're going to go ahead and move on that now. That would give us 6 buses, and like I said, we need to get to 8. Hopefully, then in our carryover, we'll have enough to get the other 2. And if we did that, that would be a huge victory. That's we need 8 a year. That'd be 3 years in a row. We've gotten to 8 in terms of 8 buses. And so, so that's something that's really, really beneficial. So just open it up to you and give your thoughts on these options and how we want to move forward.
Any discussions right now?
Well, having been there last night, first of all, I just want to make sure everyone understands that what we list as carryover, no guarantee we're going to get. Supervisors have indicated they would like to see us get it, but there's no guarantee the county will have it, and there's no guarantee that at least 4 of them will vote to give it to us. So once again, we are, it doesn't matter how you shuffle that list, it's all recurring costs. So we're still being forced to put recurring costs that should be in our regular budget off until carryover. So, I just want to, again, make sure the public understands that this budget is not being fully funded with the $1.5 million. That we will still be dependent on over $640,000 from the county to fully fund what was a basic needs at best budget.
Any other comments?
Okay, so I think I've made it clear I didn't agree, I disagreed and thought we should have asked for more. Okay, I've been here for a while, so I know we wouldn't have gotten that, just like we haven't gotten what we asked for. I just came from Richmond today at a Hot Topics conference where board members educate ourselves and get more information about what we do as board members and why. Part of that conversation was around budgeting and funding. And as I've been saying through this process, the county has stepped up, the citizens of Montgomery County have stepped up for years and tried to fill in the gap during this big recession that we went through, where we lost hundreds of employees, millions of dollars, and we're trying to recover from that. And during all that, buses need to be replaced. Students still need to be educated. They need supplies. They need everything they need. And there's more students than there was. We are pounding the wrong door. The data that I saw today showed that localities across the state of Virginia and across the country are picking up the load. And some of them just can't afford to keep picking up the load. When the state repeatedly fails to do their part to educate the students in the state of Virginia. Those are the doors we need to be kicking down. Those are the doors that we need to march to Richmond and help them understand enough's enough. Start supporting public education by funding it the way it should be funded. I understand a tax increase is hard on a lot of people, and it shouldn't always have to happen here. When it's needed, it needs to happen. But if Richmond was doing what they're supposed to do, when Virginia is one of the richest states in the country, and we just refuse to educate our students, we're setting the state and the country up to fail. As we heard tonight, our students are our future. And if we're not investing in them now, we're going to be paying for it later, big time. Whether it's, prison, because, they built a lot of prisons, and there's a lot of them that are still empty. Are they setting it up to fill up those prisons? Because we're not educating our students, and we know how that can play out. This is not an exaggeration or dramatization. This is the facts. This is what is going on right now. So I encourage every citizen in the state, every teacher, every student, every parent, every board member, every superintendent, everyone, not to be sitting here having the same conversation next year, which is going on, as I heard from board members all day today. We need to be in Richmond. We need to be there in masses. And we need to start organizing that now so that they know, get ready, because here we come. Because I am tired of begging to do what we should be doing as a society, and that is educating our children.
And I would add to that, which I'm sure Ms. Franklin heard today, is we still have an opportunity to make a difference this year. The House and the Senate have not agreed on a budget, and they're way far apart on how much to fund our schools, significantly for this county could be several $100,000. So there is still time to contact your legislators, your House of Delegates members, and your state senators to support the House budget version, which sends a lot more to localities for public schools. So please consider doing that.
Yeah. And I'll just say, you know, if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. That's called insanity. So it's great to contact them, but it's sure a lot more powerful when you show up on their door.
And show up at the polls.
Any other comments? Any directions to Dr. Meyer in terms of the options A or option B? I know we have to put the teachers in.
I was gonna say, it doesn't sound like there's much of an option. I mean, option B sounds like the one we have to go with.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you have a choice.
I mean, we're gonna take
So-
take some risk, but we've been taking risks anyway, hoping
Yeah.
that we
I mean,
can get
it's-
the carryover. And my worry would be state, getting money from state because of our enrollment shouldn't look like we are having plenty of money to do those, the ones that we put it under carryover in the eyes of our supervisors. So hopefully they will see the need of 642 still valid, even if we get the extra money from state. Because we definitely need to put those teachers back. And we are, I'm sure, 50 teachers short, so putting 3 is only a little dent. A long ways to go.
All right, so the only thing I would just, again, like to echo as Dr. Myers said is, once we see what our enrollment actually will be next year, that we might maybe hold off on the Chromebooks and the technology piece, because if we need teachers over that, we need to get folks in the classrooms.
Right. And we may have a possibility of making that purchase with end-of-year money, not carryover even. Yeah, so that's why we would put that there. And I
Makes
feel
sense.
safe in that happening. Yep. And so, and I'll say this too, and, I know Mr. Pauley's met with all the secondary schools the last couple of days. Blacksburg Middle and Christiansburg Middle are not the only ones that are having issues.
Right.
He's met with several secondary schools. Christiansburg High School. For instance, they're having to do some shuffling. Actually, we're actually helped them out. This is something that helped them. How we offered earth science in middle school this year. That's freed them up half a science teacher. And they need it in social studies because there's such high numbers in social studies. And then I believe we talked about at Auburn High School, we have really, really large numbers that are requesting Spanish because, talking about the cuts that were made several years ago, one thing that happened at Auburn High School, and I believe at Eastmont as well, is we only offer one language. And so that's a problem. So, the only language, unless the Auburn High School kids take it online, the only thing they can take is Spanish. And so, that's a problem, but we're seeing larger and larger numbers, which is a good thing because what it means is more students are, if you're signing for languages, it's usually because they're pursuing advanced studies diploma. And I think we ought to give them that opportunity without having, it's hard to teach foreign language classes with 30 in the class. It really is difficult.
It's hard to teach anything.
That's any class with 30. Foreign language is even more difficult, and I've seen it. And so, we might even need some help at Auburn, in foreign language, for instance. So, we're not going down in enrollment. anywhere. I mean, it's
Definitely.
going up everywhere,
Everywhere.
and that's something that we really need to just continue to pay attention to. And you know, if we get more money from the state, once they finalize their budget, my recommendation will be more teachers. Lapse money, from where, you know, explain again what lapse money is when teachers leave and they're making more than teachers we hired. There's usually a savings there. Any savings there, we need to add more teachers. And you know, I'm glad we've gotten the goal of the raises for our teachers and back to right steps and no insurance increase. We got that. That was a priority. But now we need to, you need to, you know, an issue is taking the strain off of the teachers, you know, who are having to teach such large class sizes.
Yeah.
You know, which, and then two, there's some situations where, for instance, Blacksburg Middle School, some CTE classes, we have to give CTE classes, but there are caps on CTE classes because a lot of them have safety requirements. And so we can't put any more than a certain amount in the class. And so, you know, we're short teachers there also. So we're going to just work real hard to keep putting those teachers back in classrooms. Of course, there's some uncertainty as to how many we'll be able to add. You know, the bad thing with that is the later we wait, the fewer choices and candidates we have. But you know, we'll work hard at it. So,
Any other comments before we go to?
am I hearing option B?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's-
I'm
okay.
sorry, yeah.
All right,
That
so
was
we'll-
the-
we'll-
Keep us updated.
Okay, we'll keep
Yes.
that
I
in
know
front of
House
you.
budget passed, it's now in the Senate, so, you know, I think they passed the House budget, so it's in the Senate now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll
they
see,
need
and
to- they need to
hopefully
come
we'll
to
be a little
terms
faster and won't
then
go
the
to till,
governor. Yeah.
yeah.
Here, you know, we had originally, and Katie helped me out with this, we originally had talked about passing our budget at the next May meeting. However, there's a chance the state will not have passed their budget by May 1st, okay? So what we're thinking that we can do, we can't hold off to May 16th. So I say we just hold off to May 16th. Now, if May 16th comes and they still haven't come up with a budget, what we need to do is go ahead and pass it, what we know, so we can go ahead and start issuing contracts. And then, once their budget is passed, do an addendum. Am I speaking correctly, Katie? Okay, do an addendum to the budget based on what they give us. And so, Mr. Krantz, that sound okay too?
Yes, sir, it does.
All right, thank you.
I actually like that better than some years where we've had to send a letter saying our intent is to hire you,
Yeah.
versus so folks know they have a job.
Right.
And just to correct, the day is May 15 for the second meeting.
It's May what?
May 15, not 16.
Okay, I was thinking of my daughter's birthday. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
All right, that's right.
Good thing it's not that night.
It's good. It's true. That's right.
Just want to make sure the public knows. Is there anything else you want to add?
I don't
The
think so.
next item is unfinished business. Any board members have any previously introduced item? Any unfinished business to bring up? Seeing none, I'll move to new business. Any board members have a new business? Don't see any. The next one will be announcements and information. I know at the end of the month, oh, go for it.
Don't. Just hit me, sorry. The cosmetology group took their state boards yesterday, my daughter included in one of them. So I'm hoping and praying that they're all come back successful. So it was a good group that, I guess they went to Blacksburg and did it. So anyway, kudos to them. And it was kind of funny because she was like, Mom, we were so much more advanced than some of the other schools. So, you know, even with some of the things that we see in a negative way, going to Texas this past weekend for the conference, it really makes you see that we really have it going on here. And, you know, it's we need to see that. We need to see all the great things we have going on. and sometimes not always continue to hang on to the negative ones, because we've got so much more happening here positively.
Can I share something we're doing that made me
Yes.
think of this? And we're stealing this idea from Henrico schools. You know how every year in the past few years we've done athletic signings where students, they sign their letter of intent of where they're going to go and play college athletics. Something we're going to do this year is do an employer signing. For our kids that are in our CTE programs, we're going to combine the kids that are in CTE programs along with kids who have enlisted in the military, and we're going to have a signing day, bring in the employers. You know, we're going to have, we have several machinists who have already gotten jobs. So the companies that they're actually are going to be employed with, we're going to bring those companies in and have them do a signing with our student employees. You know, cosmetology, some cosmetology students, some CNA students, and any other students that have actually signed on with the company because of CTE programs that we actually have, and also those who have signed up for the armed forces, because I think we need to celebrate those students. And but we're going to make a huge deal out of it, and I'm just real excited about that. Mr. Weaver is working on getting a date for that, but no, I think it's something that we need to celebrate. We talk about celebrating students, and it's not only the students who are going to college. We have a lot of students who, you know, the machinist students, they're making, our high school graduates will be making more money than our starting teachers. And that's pretty commendable. So we're going to have a special day, and we'll make sure you all are invited. I think we can do it at Christiansburg High School, bring all the kids from different parts of the county in. And so we'll let you know Mr. Weaver is planning that now. So
Speaking of that, is there not an announcement?
I was going to say, I didn't know if that was like something we're supposed to talk about, the VSBA award that we got.
I think it's under wraps now.
Oh,
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't say anything.
we got a really awesome award that we can't talk
We cannot
about
say it yet.
right now. Yeah. So
Okay, well then I'll take it to another, to piggyback on what you said, and I know we're not doing the board
Reports yet.
reports yet, and I get that, but one of the sessions that I did go to had to do with exactly what you were talking about, and just, you know, work shadowing and getting out in your community, and they were talking about how finding out about what the history of your community and what you can build on and what your community needs, and you've done that. So I sure do appreciate that, because everything they said, and this, I mean, kind of backtracking, but, you know, I was all nervous about flying by myself and this and that. Well, when I got on the plane from Charlotte, the pilot actually came on the plane, and it was a huge plane, and said, I want to welcome all the NSBA flight people coming, because that's how many people go to this conference. I mean, so I was like, I'm all by myself. There's a whole plane of me. And so anyway, but, you know, it was so huge. And so to go there and hear exactly what you've been doing, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
We're
in a good
doing some
spot.
good stuff.
we're doing great
so
stuff here.
thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. Very excited.
You have an announcement?
Yeah, when you, are we technically an announcement yet, or are we still in business? Where are we?
Yeah,
We
sorry,
are
I
in
don't
between
know.
somewhere. That's all
I
right.
want to go to announcements.
We're in announcements.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that's what we were doing.
Yes.
All right, just want to make
You
sure.
look like the bird who caught the cat who caught the canary or something.
Yeah, so I was rushing in tonight, and I do apologize, but I actually did make it on time. First of all, on May 1st, I will not be here because I will be representing us at the Blue Ridge Regional Meeting, where I serve as vice chair for the region for VSBA. So I just want to let you know. So I will hold off on my NSBA sessions until the work session after that.
Okay.
So I will not be here now. But this I can't wait for, since it'll be tomorrow. The Educational Foundation, for those who don't know, I'm president of our Educational Foundation as well. And we have had an amazing couple of weeks. First of all, we received a grant from the Corning Foundation for $8,000, and then a matching $1,000 from an employee who donated and then used the matching program. So we've received $9,000 from them. For that, we will be putting $2,000 into our endowment, $3,000 towards our educator grant program. We're going to put $2,000 towards our project-based learning program to support that, to help our kids who are, looking for careers and to help Mr. Weaver with that. And also, we're going to put $2,000 towards our mobile Christiansburg Institute Museum. That was one of the things we applied for. But the big announcement I just got a few minutes ago on my iPad, before I came here, I was at the 100 Plus Women Who Care quarterly meeting, which, for those who don't know, it's a group of women that's now totaling well over 100, who pledged to donate $100 every quarter to a charity that is chosen by vote at the meeting. And because we are in Give Big Day, for those who don't know, it's Give Big Day tomorrow, and the foundation is one of the organizations that is that you can give to. And we currently have a matching donor who will match everything dollar for dollar that is given. So the $15,000 we're going to receive from, $15,000 plus we're going to receive from 100 Plus will be fully matched. So we've had a $40,000 week.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So I don't know if that'll ever happen again.
That is exciting.
That will be coming back to our teachers in the form of grants, to programs like our Christiansburg Institute Mobile Museum, to our project-based learning, and also to sustain the foundation as we go forward over the next 5 to 20 years.
And all that, of course, directly affects our children.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Goes to direct classrooms. And you may have you can breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
In between.
So,
Yeah, congratulations, that's exciting. Any other announcements? I know at the end of the month, 27th, April 27, 28, 29 weekend, Blacksburg High School have a spring musical and is Singing in the Rain. I saw a little glimpse of it the other day when they have a band fundraiser at Blacksburg High School, which was wonderful. Wasn't well attended, I guess. Unfortunately, there must be some other events going on. But there were, bands, professional bands playing with all the talented kids as well. They had a little, piece of it. Looks very good, and I know it will be probably Friday night, Saturday night. I don't have the dates, times in my head. Friday night, Saturday night, probably a Sunday afternoon matinee. So, and the other thing I'd like to announce is, since in the upcoming school board meetings, we have the 15 meeting. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend that meeting, and I will have the approval of the budget. I will give me my thumbs up to you, and Ms. Fraga will be chairing because my daughter is graduating, so I need to be in Chicago for that. So
Did you say May 13th for that Singing in the Rain?
it's April 27 through 29, I think.
Sorry, I'm
End
way
of
off on that.
Yeah, end of the month weekend. I think they're probably 27, 28, and
Okay,
29.
that's fine.
If
I'm just writing it down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other announcement and information to share?
anything else you want to share?
No, just wait.
And then the next is upcoming school meeting. Next one will be our joint meeting with the Board of Supervisors. Will be at Falling Branch Elementary School. At the dinner is at 6:30, and then the meeting starts at 7. And then we have May 1st and May 15 meetings. Any questions regarding those? And then our board retreat is June 5th. The details will follow on that. And if we are ready to go into closed session. Our next item will be closed session. May I have a motion to go into closed session to discuss one employee matter as authorized by Section 2.2-3711 of Code of Virginia.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we're in closed session.